Survivor is more than just an amazing show. It is a lesson that not only we're learning out there on the island, but we're learning for the viewers too. We take what we've learned from the island and bring it back to real life. Physically, Survivor is hard, but mentally and socially, the game is a lot harder. So mentally, that's how I prepared for it, was watching the show. But physically, you just have to be prepared for anything. So I was in the best shape I had ever been in. It took a long time for me to really readjust and start trusting people and trusting myself and watching your body change back into its normal form. If you can ever relate to any castaway on the island, take that with you. Learn those lessons too, because we're out there to really not only give great TV, but show what Survivor truly is, and that's surviving in the toughest times of your life. She said, y'all are going to become this dysfunctional, functional family that you're not going to be able to get through without each other. And we all looked around like, I don't even know your name.
Hey, fitness and health fans. It's time to get your game on and crush it with Coach Marghella in another episode of Sporting Good Fitness. Join us for the podcast that will coach you from the sidelines to keep you on your game no matter what health or fitness game you play.
Hey, I'm Coach Marghella. I'm Sporting Good Fitness. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach Marghella, what do you have for us today?
Welcome back, everyone, to Sporting Good Fitness. I'm Coach Marghella, and I'm here today with Libby Vincek. She's currently on the Survivor Series, season 36. Yes. And she's been a patient at my office. At first, I didn't even know that she was on there, and then finally she told us that she was going to be on the show. So she was kind enough to take some time out of her busy schedule to speak to me today. So, Libby, I want to welcome you to Sporting Good Fitness.
Hey, well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to chat with y'all about this stuff. And yeah, it's the least I can do for all the great things that you've done for me. So yes, definitely. I'm excited about it.
Awesome. So I know that it's difficult to get on that show. So how did you end up getting on there, and how did the process work to get on the show?
It actually found me, and I was in a position in my life where I wasn't sure what my next move was, and I had always loved television. That's what I studied in school, and I love adventure, and one of my really good friends was obsessed with the show, and so I would watch it with her. Whenever they reached out to me, I was like, wow, I guess this is a calling for me, and I never even knew it. And if I wasn't going to go searching for it, they were going to find me. So if I was going to be on a reality show, this would have been the one that I would have loved to be on, and my wish came true.
Wow, that's so amazing. Now, what was it like to prepare to be on a show like this, and what were the kind of things you had to learn and to be able to withstand being on the island?
Well, Survivor is something that you honestly cannot prepare fully for. I mean, there's things like marathons and physical challenging competitions that you in your mind can feel fully prepared for. But Survivor, you don't know what you're going to be in for. And you also can't starve yourself. I mean, you can't starve yourself before you starve yourself to see how you feel. Or you can't really swim across the ocean, because you never know whenever you're really going to swim or not, so you have to be willing to put your body through all sorts of different strenuous activities. Like I would run some, I would swim some, I walked a lot up hills and things, and I did a lot of functional training to work on my balance. I loved watching Survivor. That was one of the gifts that whenever they told me you need to start watching it like it's your job, I did, and I loved every second of it. So that was another way that I prepared for it, obviously watching, because just in case they brought anything back. And then it so happens that our season was all about bringing everything else back. So that was pretty bittersweet, because it was like, okay, now it's your turn to reverse the curse. So mentally, that's how I prepared for it. It was watching the show, but physically, you just have to be prepared for anything. So I was in the best shape I had ever been in.
I actually have been watching this season, and I enjoyed them showing the old episodes and kind of trying to reverse the curse, like you were saying, and just some of the challenges that people had done. It was good to kind of get up to date on some of those things. And I got to say, I'm impressed with the challenges they do, both the physical challenges, the mental challenges, the teamwork that's involved. It really does draw you in, because you really do get to know the people on the show. And the last couple episodes, I've seen you more on there.
It was really funny, to be honest, watching last week's episode, because, they are starting to show me a little bit more we don't get to see the season or the episodes or anything before they actually show it. So
yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, we have no idea what anyone says about each other unless we've told each other. So it's kind of surprising whenever we had our watch party in Nashville and we were watching, everybody looked at me to see my reaction and my jaw was to the ground. I was like, what?
That's pretty cool to see it, I guess, in some senses. And then in other senses, you're like, oh, I can't believe that they were saying that behind my back.
Yeah, exactly.
So how long were you actually there for?
Well, the process takes about 50 or so days. But the show is 39 days. That's how long the entire show lasts. But in preparation and both like pre-interviews and things like that, you're out there a little bit earlier.
Last week, I saw also they split the tribe again into 3 different groups. What has it been like to do those challenges and also switch teams so many times with the different tribes?
Yeah, I would say physically Survivor is hard, but mentally and socially the game is a lot harder. And I think that's the most challenging part of the game is building a relationship, and then whenever we switch tribes again, having to rebuild or rekindle, or even if, like, say you didn't really like working with this person, then you swapped, and so you didn't have to work with them again, but then you swap again, and oh my gosh, you got to work with somebody that you didn't really like anymore, so now you have to rekindle a relationship, and that really gives you a different perspective in what life is like as well. And so I believe that that's a really challenging part about the game, but that's how you win. You're great at both of them. So physically, it's really tough, but mentally and socially, it's a lot more challenging. Mind over matter when it comes to the physical stuff.
I could see that being difficult because as a viewer, you get to see the other side of things and what people are saying. But when you're on the island there, you don't know unless physically someone has told you, what they're thinking or what they're feeling.
You have no idea what's going on behind your back. So it's very tough.
I'm impressed, I got to say. And last week was a cool challenge because they had the tribes, they had everybody blindfolded, and they had one person calling out instructions to go do the challenges. Tell me a little bit about what that was like, being blindfolded and having to totally rely on somebody else.
I was with someone who I had never worked with before, Bradley, and that was such a challenging challenge. I mean, like not knowing where you're going for a very long time and having to listen, and not only to that person, but you're hearing so many other voices around you. It's hard to divide amongst those. And then really we got to look at the course before we took off. But I mean, you run into poles. Obviously people saw that happen.
I saw that. That looked like it hurt.
Oh yeah. I would say
definitely an adjustment after that one.
Right. I was like, oh, I'm going to need a chiropractor. He came to my rescue. No, that kind of hurt. But other than that, I mean, it was interesting crawling under the poles and then having to actually do that puzzle.
Yeah, I saw that part. I was impressed with how difficult that was for everybody to do that puzzle blindfolded and just rely on the directions. And also
right.
the pieces. It's hard to see if they're upside down or not, or
yes.
turn sideways.
And how I would work that was I would hold up different pieces and I would show Dom, because there were so many different pieces, I would show him what I had. And I was like, do you need anything in the right or left? And he was like, no, not right now. So then I'd hold those and then grab another piece, because then that way, if he was like, yes, this one, I would hand it to Bradley, and then Bradley would put it to where it needed to be. So that way, because there were so many, if he said, grab that round one on the left side, we're like, well, we can't see that. So at least he was like, oh, the one in Libby's left hand, take that one, or put it to the top of the circle or something. So it was very interesting, very challenging. That was one of the hardest challenges we had ever done.
That's been one of my favorites to watch. That must have been just kind of a scary feeling too, just to be blindfolded like that. And just
it is.
For so long as well.
Right. You start to get a headache, and they test. I mean, they you have to look up, look down, and they have to see if there is any possible way you can see anything. So it is not cheating for sure.
I could tell that. I was looking at, and I'm thinking these people really can't see where they're going or what's going on around them. Another challenge I thought was cool is just some of the ones you guys do in the water, having to dive down and, retrieve items and swim across things. Did you ever swim a lot before this?
I was not a huge swimmer before that. And that's one thing I was really nervous about. I had never really swam in an open ocean like that. And to be honest, I was really nervous about opening my eyes underwater. I was like, wait, can we do that? Is it going to burn? But it didn't. I think that those were my favorite challenges because I was most afraid of those. I was most afraid of being uncomfortable in those situations. And then whenever I accomplished it, it was so exciting. And really swimming in open water in Fiji, not really seeing any land, it's pretty exhilarating.
What was your downtime like, in between these events that you were doing?
A lot of talking about food. But really, we talked a lot about food. Well, we'd be laying on our beds and we'd be like, what is your favorite Christmas dinner? And what do you love to cook? And we were all just getting so hungry as we were talking about it. And then we would look at each other like, okay, next subject. But we really couldn't think about other things. And then other than that, our downtime was like laundry and being out on the beach. And, there were a few days that we had downtime. In between challenges, we would usually have about 1.5 days in between challenges. But that was the slowest time. You were so tired. You didn't really want to use any calories, but you wanted to see if you can find coconuts or firewood or, work around camp and just try and get your mind off of things and then just build those relationships with people, whether it was fishing or washing dishes or anything, we made jewelry a lot in our downtime. And that was a very important part about it, was making those relationships work, figuring out how to work with each other is very important.
So how did you do laundry while you were there?
You scrubbed your clothes with the ocean water, and then you would just hang them on limbs to dry.
Wow.
Because, that's all the options you have. I mean, if there's a stain, sometimes we'd scrub it with sand, but yeah, you just rinsed your clothes in the water and then just laid them out to dry.
Did you guys wear any sunscreen while you were there? Because I know
they did give us sunscreen. They gave us sunscreen and bug spray.
So as far as food then, I know you ate a lot of coconuts and then there was fish, but what else were you really eating besides that?
As far as food, they gave us a small jug of rice that we had to figure out how to divide amongst the many days that we had and the people. So we never knew when we were going to be getting new rice, so we didn't make it all the time. We only made like a small cup to divide amongst each other before a challenge or after a challenge to feed ourselves, but we didn't eat multiple times a day. We would find coconuts and we'd maybe slice 2 open, and then if we found some with good coconut water, because you can't eat the same coconut that has really good coconut water in it. So we'd have to, find some really good coconuts. We couldn't ever really find any fish. We would find conch, which was like a shell that was the size of your fist, and there'd be those little snails in there, and we'd each have like half of a little conch, which is probably like 2 grams of protein. But that
how does that taste, by the way?
Very fishy.
Yeah.
But what we did, we got creative, and there were times where we would toast the coconut in a little bit of ocean water, and it was like salty popcorn.
Oh, nice. What about, so I've seen also some people go to Ghost Island. I know you can't give away things, but what were people saying after they had been at Ghost Island for a day by themselves? That must have been kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah, hearing the stories of people when they would come back from Ghost Island, it's like, okay, I'd love to go there. I heard that they have a gallon of rice for you to eat. But then there's also this part of you that you miss social games, you miss that opportunity to build relationships, and you're gone the whole time, so you give others the opportunity to talk about you. So it was kind of scary, but you did have the opportunity to possibly get an advantage or an idol or something, and so it was bittersweet to hear. But then every time we would have to choose someone to send to Ghost Island, it was a very tough decision.
Yeah, a lot of times I saw them do where they would just draw rocks
the peanut butter and jelly challenge, we didn't even question it. We looked at each other, we were like, we're going to rocks, because we were evenly divided and we didn't want to create some anxiety or tension between other tribe mates to send one of their people to Ghost Island or one of our people to Ghost Island. So we were like, okay, we'll just let y'all draw for rocks and let fate take its course.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially as you get deeper into the game. This way you're not, because if you switch tribes again, you may be on the team with that person.
I'll be like, oh, we'll totally work with you, and then like backstab you.
It seems like Alliance has changed quite a bit too, especially with the shuffling of the groups. But I did see a lot of loyalty with some of the original.
Lolo.
Yeah. It seems like some of it is starting to change a little bit. So I guess, we'll see how it goes through the next, month or so of the episodes.
Right. Yeah. See, we had our strong four, and it was a relationship that I truly felt so strong about. Yeah. We called us the Malolo Four, and we spent a lot of time on the beach together talking about things and really trusted each other in times where it was very, very tough. We were really afraid going to a new island. And so that really was the first opportunity to show what building an alliance was like.
When you came back after being on the show and coming back to, regular life again, what was that like to make that transfer like that?
Oh, that was the hardest part. And though adjusting to it after a week or 2 weeks, I was like, okay, like this is fine. But no, it took a long time for me to really readjust and start trusting people and trusting myself, and watching your body change back into its normal form was really weird. And just like we were out there for so long without phones, without talking to people, that I not only built really strong relationships, but also kind of lost some relationships in ways, because I learned to be on my own a lot more than normal. And I was like more independent than I had ever dreamed of. And so I was like not calling my family very much. And they're like, hello, did you forget about us? And I'm like, no, I swear. Now I'm so used to doing things on my own that I kind of do that. I separate myself. So that was really tough adjusting to it and trying to relate to people who have no idea how they can relate. But that was one of the other parts about our relationships off the island. We're all such a close family now, and without each other, we wouldn't be able to really get through all of this and be able to talk about things and vent. And they're the only ones who we can relate to that have been through what we've gone through. And so that is a very, very important part about all of this, is staying in touch with our fellow castaways.
I guess that makes a lot of sense, being that somebody's been in a tragedy or is dealing with something, you want to talk to the people that have been in that same boat as you. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we didn't really think about that whenever we were sitting in the room with the lead casting lady that was in charge of us. She looked at all of us and she said, y'all are going to become this functional family that you're not going to be able to get through without each other. And we all looked around like, I don't even know your name. Like, why are we going to be a family? And then we realized that, yeah, it's amazing how close we all are now.
So am I allowed to ask if there was, of the people that were on the show, who you stay in contact with the most?
Well,
if you can, it's okay. I didn't know.
You'll see the bonds that I create with some other certain people. And so that might give you the idea. But if I tell you, you might guess the different alliances. And
okay, yeah. So
that's a surprise.
Okay. I knew I had to be careful about what So, Libby, you were mentioning about, post-Survivor and traveling a lot and kind of how your body felt. So what has it been like to travel that much, and some of the things I've been able to do to help with that transition?
Well, after Survivor, I was living in Georgia and I moved to Nashville, and I was traveling a lot for work. So I was getting back into work and traveling back and forth to Texas and different states. And I mean, sleeping on bamboo, I had not gotten adjusted ever before. And then coming back, people were like, oh, yeah, I have to go see my chiropractor. I'm like, what are they going to do? I don't know. Like, I just know that my back is killing me, and it had been hurting so bad ever since last summer. And then on top of that, traveling and trying to get back into the healthy lifestyle of working out so much, I couldn't even sleep at night. And so whenever Brian with Defiance Fuel recommended us to come and see you, didn't know that was going to be a complete game changer for me. And I came to see you, and after a few adjustments, I was back to sleeping great and back on a plane, of course. And it is something that has really changed my life for the better in many ways, not just sleeping better, but being able to be as active as I can and not worrying about my lower back killing me all the time. So that was really, really helpful for me.
It's really been a pleasure helping you, and I'm glad I was able to help.
Yeah, and you informed me on so many different things about that I had no idea what a chiropractor or what getting adjusted really did for my body. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Most people know chiropractors help with neck and back pain, but we talked a little bit deeper into other things that chiropractic can help with that people don't always realize, like digestion and sleep patterns, headaches, and just, general overall wellness is just a huge part of what we do and why we do it. Before we go today, I wanted to ask you one more thing. What would you like to leave our listeners with? I know you can't give away things that are going to happen, but, what would you like them to take away from this episode today?
I would like them to take away the fact that I think that Survivor is more than just an amazing show. It is a lesson that not only we're learning out there on the island, but we're learning for the viewers too. We take what we've learned from the island and bring it back to real life. And if you can ever relate to any castaway on the island, take that with you and learn from them as they're learning on the island. Learn those lessons too, because that's why we're out there. We're out there to really not only give great TV, but show what Survivor truly is. And that's surviving in the toughest times of your life. And even the most adventurous, you grow. And that's what I would want viewers to take away from the show. It's not all about backstabbing and physical challenges and starving yourself, but it's about challenging yourself and learning from it.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out today and doing this. I know you have a busy travel schedule. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you on social media and also some of the other things that you're doing?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at I am the Libster, Libster. I also have my website, libbykate.com or livingitupwithlibby.com. And I blog and do some YouTube videos and stuff. I'm starting to get more into that. I'm traveling a lot, so more to come on the travel blog. I have a fitness line coming out that I've been working on, so I'm really excited about that. And other things, just you have to stay tuned. Some really exciting stuff coming up. Living it up with Libby.
I like that. Thank you for doing this because I've really got more in tune with the show and I really have enjoyed watching it each week now. It was something I hadn't done and thank you for turning me on to the show.
Of course. I'm so excited for you to continue watching and see how much you fall in love with it.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for being on the show today, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, sir. Got lots of trips coming. So when I get back, you're going to think that you're playing the piano. Everything's going to be cracking.
Awesome. I hope that you really enjoyed listening to Libby today. I know that I did. I've really gotten into the show Survivor this year, and I look forward to actually going back and watching some of the old seasons just to kind of get caught up on some of the challenges they've done. And it's more than what I thought it was. I didn't realize the depth that goes into it and the amount of physical and mental toughness that you really need to be on the show. Being on an island like that, it sounds kind of fabulous to most people, but really there's a lot of pressure and stress on that show. So it's great to hear that they have that support once the show ends, that people are still communicating about what they've been through and listening to what her transition's been like back to regular life. I'm glad I've been able to be a small part in helping her sleeping on bamboo for a couple months. That definitely would not be comfortable. And all the traveling she does, she came in and her back was killing her. So I'm really glad I've been able to help with that, educate her a little bit about what chiropractic is, and more than just the neck and back pain, just really talking about sleep, mental health, digestion, all these things that get benefited from getting adjusted that people don't realize are just those added benefits. So I'm glad that she's been able to do that, and I look forward to working with her through the years that she's traveling and on her business adventures and everything. Again, thank you for listening. I appreciate you tuning in each week. I hope you're enjoying some of the guests we've had, and I have a lot more lined up. You can follow me on Facebook at Ideal Health and Wellness Center and Instagram at Ideal Health Wellness Center Franklin. And this is Coach Marghella signing off. I'm Sporting Good Fitness. How about you?
Thank you, Coach Marghella, for another thrilling episode.
Sporting Good Fitness is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health and Wellness Center in Franklin. Executive producer, Frank Sardella. Dr. Marghella appears courtesy of Ideal Health and Wellness Center, copyright 2018, all rights reserved. For more information, visit sportinggoodfitness.com.